Good morning. How is everyone today? It is Tuesday. Oh, hold on a second. Hopefully, you can hear me now. Um, how's everyone this morning? Today is Tuesday, March 29th, and it is week 11, which is amazing that we have all made it this far. Thanks, Brandon. Good to hear you're doing well. James, hello, good morning. I think once you make it past week 9, you're doing okay. Week 9 seems to be the worst week of the semester for most students and for teachers too. It just well, it was quite a week 9. We had the possible strike, and we had it was like crummy weather. It was the time change happened. It was a full moon. Anyways, we made it to week 11, which is we are just on the cusp of April. April will be happening on Friday, April 1st. No joke, it will be here. It's pretty good. April, before you know it, the semester will be over. Everyone will be graduated, hopefully, right? That is the goal. I'm sure for all of you that are ready to head out, find a real job. All right. So, what do we have going on here? Let's talk about what's sports that are in the news. Okay, what's the biggest sports story that's happened between this last Tuesday and this Tuesday today? Drop something in the chat. Tell me what the biggest sports story was this week.
What does this have to do with Canada's hockey team?
Nice, Brendan. Yes. That is what I would say was the biggest sports story in Canada this week. On Sunday, Canadian men's national soccer team qualified for the World Cup, first time since 1986. So it has been 36 years, something like that. 36 years. Not bad at all. Decisive win over Jamaica on Sunday. I think it was 4-0, and they guaranteed their spot in the 32 team World Cup term. I think it's 32 teams. I'm not sure. Maybe we have a real soccer person on the line. Anyone big soccer fans? James. Okay, so James, you obviously did you watch the game, James?
Uh, Most of it.
Yeah,
I
most of
missed the
it.
ending when they actually blew the whistle and everybody freaked out though.
Yeah,
Watched the first half.
yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, the first half was pretty crazy too. When the goals were scored, crowd was right into it. Total sort of FC crowd, TFC crowd down there, that's for sure. You could tell. Same colors basically. And pretty exciting to see all that happen. All right, so it's going to be in Qatar or Qatar. People pronounce it differently. Anyone have any thoughts about having the World Cup in Qatar? From my understanding, it's basically kind of a very arid country, sort of desert. It's in the Middle East. It's basically almost an island. And I believe if you look around, there's not a lot of vegetation on that place. So, pretty crazy that they'll be playing there. I guess they'll have, these beautiful stadiums that have been built and that sort of thing. Excuse me. I do have a friend that's from Bahrain, which is the country right near Qatar. which is even a smaller island. So check it out in your Google Earth or that sort of thing. Interesting, the location of it. Don't know how they ever got the bid, but definitely the Middle East, all those countries that are very arid. So interesting. Let's see what we have here. Hold on a second. One sec. Just had to relieve myself a little blow on my nose there. All right, so what's going on today in class? Actually, before I do that, does anyone have any questions about anything with this course so far? Any of the requirements, any of the deliverables, the discussion board, the anything like that? Does anyone have any questions about that? Why am I thinking that everyone on this call is doing all the discussion boards, and where are the business case sim? When are they due? Well, they're due really due at the end of the semester, so the last day of classes, Trevor. So I believe they're all still open. If you want to, you should be able to look at, yeah, so they're due at the end of the semester. So I'd leave the business case sims open. Just try and find them here for a second. Business case sims, I think they're all open. Yeah, I haven't closed any of them. So it should be good with continuing to use those. So if you take the last day of the semester, I could put an announcement out for that just so everyone knows. Is it the 15th? No, this is 11, 12, 13, 14. April 22nd, 11:59 EST will be the when they're all due. All right. So you have some time to get caught up on them if you haven't. Let's see in the grade center, how's everyone? I look at the grade center fairly often, but yeah, it's kind of spotty as far as getting them done. If you're having some problems, make sure you ask for some assistance. And player management, we're going to do this week. I would say that, I don't know, it looks like just over half the class does the Sims, which, well, it's looking, it kind of has been dropping off the last few weeks. If anyone needs any assistance, just let me know. I'm here to help. Don't want to make this more difficult than it already is, so if anyone needs any help with any Sims, just book a time with me, send me a text, email, call me. I know my number's in Blackboard, so if you need to get hold of me, I am available. If you need to discuss anything, I can definitely book a time with you. I'm pretty open to booking any time, so just whenever you want to talk, I will be flexible, okay? So please reach out if you need some help. Got it. Okay, what was I here? What are we doing today? So no one has any questions other than when are the business case sims due? All right, so we have that figured out. Let's see, what else is happening? We have a presentation today on the Olympics. Malcolm, Trevor, and James. I saw Malcolm on here. He joined early. There's James is here. And Trevor, all three of you fellas are here, which is good. And then we have Kasu, Marcus, Connor, Julian, John, and Mandeep. are all evaluators. So big glow to 5 people. I see Mandeep is here. And who else is here? John Hayes is not here. Julian is here. Okay, Julian. Connor, not here. Marcus, not here. Kasu, 2 out of 5. Okay. 11 people in class, including myself. Okay. Definitely dropping off here as far as attendance going. Okay, so we have the Olympics topic. This is week 8. After this one, I think we have two. Is this week 8 or 9? Week 8 for presentations. And then we have, let me just check a lookout here. And we have concussion next week, and then social media on the week following. So week 12 and 13. Nothing on week 14. Okay, so this is the 8th presentation, and we have 9 and 10. Okay, good. All right. The module we're working with today is player management. I like this module, which is, I find it interesting. So we'll do the concept overview first. I'll give you time for the quiz. Yeah, let's see. And maybe I'll do the presentation, and then we'll get into the learning phase of the module. Okay. So let's get into the player management. I will share my screen so you guys can see what I have going on here. Couldn't share sound. Now I'm getting it. Not that I need the sound, but I usually share the sound. Interesting. Okay. Let me just check what's going on here. Sound. Where's my sound? Here's my sound. 1 second, I'm just checking some settings. And that made a difference. Let's see if that helps now. Yep, that works now. Okay. And we are sharing the concept overview. All right, everyone should be able to see the player management concept overview. Player management is pretty interesting when you get into sports. It's basically, you know, your players are your assets, right? They are the ones that are going to win you the championship. They're the ones scoring the goals, catching the touchdowns, you know, hitting the home runs. So you can get an awesome coach, but they're not the ones scoring the goals. You know, they're on the bench, obviously. And coaches do have some, obviously, influence on the team's success, but not as much as the players, right? You can have, you know, the worst coach out there and have the best players and still do really well. But when teams don't do well, a lot of the times the first thing that goes is the coach. It's just an easier to get rid of one person than 23 if it's hockey. So there's a lot of movement in coaches. Coaches are hired to be fired. You've heard that probably before. You know, most coaches at some point in their hiring for each contract they get are fired. They don't usually leave on their own. They don't usually retire or just step back. They usually get fired. So player management is very important in all sports. So you have the front office across each league are very similar. So they have scouting, player personnel, operations, financing, and administration. The individual's duties for the front office across each league differ considerably due to the different nature of collective bargaining agreements. Uniform players, and we have collective bargaining agreements. What do I have here? Oh, people are waiting in the lobby. Hold on. Admit. Okay. Get you in here. Where was I? Collective bargaining agreements, uniform player contracts, allocation of revenue to the players, prospective draft rules, and salary cap limitations. There's all kinds of things that happen in each front office to bring in the money. But for an NFL front office, the NFL offseason starts way before the team season ends. Yet the owners, and their respective football operations and player personnel departments are continuously assessing free agents. Now, there's going to be some key terms here that we'll go over. Free agents, there's restricted free agents, and there's unrestricted free agents, and we'll talk about those. They would like to re-sign. So, and which current player contracts would like to restructure? So which players do we like to assess the franchise or transition tag to? Now, you may have heard of a franchise tag. Can anyone? And I think we talk about franchise players a bit further. Let me just double check. Pretty sure we do. Player personnel department. Yeah. Having a look here. Yeah, it's right at the end. Okay. That's what I thought. Got lots of stuff in this one here. Where are we here? College prospects. So you get the let's use the hockey as an example. So you have your draft that takes place. Well, actually, won't get too far ahead. The college prospects, I think, may help. College prospects are those ones that go to university or college and become a little bit older and they may miss the original entry draft, but they would be signed out of off a college or university team, usually out of the States. You see that happen. Most players would play in the States. If you're going to college or hockey, that's where you find a lot of them join from. It would be ideal to re-sign everyone and add key players that can create a championship caliber team, but the reality is that there's all sorts of other variables that come into place, including salary cap, player contracts, injuries, ages, player performance, team chemistry, coaching staff changes. So these are difficult decisions that have to be made every year. So Kyle Dubus, who is, what do we have here? Born in 1985, Kyle Dubus. So just think if you guys, sorry, everyone in this class, I'm guessing, maybe born in the, I don't know, late 90s. So Kyle Dubus is maybe just over 10 years older than most people here. So 85, so that means he is 37 approximately, right? Interesting. He's a young fella but doing a pretty good job. He has one thing in mind right now, and that's to win the Stanley Cup in Toronto. So football operations, NFL, they love using NFL examples in this. Again, American. NFL is the biggest sport, even with football. Money-making machine. All NFL teams include the front office administration, football operations department, which consists usually of the GM, general manager, vice president of football operations, director of football administration, director of finance, salary cap analysts. They have people just to keep track of the money they have remaining on the salary cap. And the department essentially runs the team aspect of the organization. The football operation department makes decisions on who the team will re-sign, who it will sign in free agency, and who it will draft. Okay, all based on information provided by the player personnel department. So when you, and maybe everyone has seen it, I've seen it, the entry draft for the NHL, they all, sit around. Usually it's hosted somewhere, could be in a small town, could be in a large town. We see that. What do we have this year? We have, um, hold on a second. Yeah, we'll get into those dates in a few minutes, but yeah, because I'll just go on a bit further, then get into the dates. So the salary cap. So the NFL has a fixed spending, like most leagues do have a fixed spending system created through the collective bargaining room, CBA. You hear this collective bargaining agreement referred to as CBA quite often. Salary cap limits spending on players' salaries for the sake of parity and competition across the league. Not only may teams not go over the salary cap. For 2018, the salary cap was 1.77.2 million for the NFL, and I think 1.825 was the last one I checked. So it does go up a slight bit each year, cost of living, that sort of thing. So that time it went up, and I didn't have the year written down that I updated it. Um, but there's also, you can't go over the salary cap, which is the 1.825. And if you do, there's huge penalties. Um, and you can't go a certain amount under it either. You have to spend up to a certain amount. So if your team's just trying to say, you know what, we only have 100 million, well, forget it, because teams must spend at least 89% of the cap. And well, they have it here. It may have changed over the last few years. The salary cap floor was 300. Okay, so I guess for these 3 years, they had it, that was the 399 million over the 3-year period. So they have it in different periods, okay? In 2012, the Dallas Cowboys and Washington Redskins were fined 10 million and 36 million respectively for spending over the salary cap. So you get, dinged big time if you go over, like 36 million over. A lot of times, money is not an issue for these teams. They have so much money. Salary cap figure is derived from NHL revenue, whereby 48% goes to the players through salaries. Teams are allowed to carry over unused cap space from previous years as long as they meet the minimum spending requirements. Interesting. Okay. I remember when that salary cap came into play in the NHL, because it hasn't always been around. It was when Matt Sundin was playing on the Leafs, and I think at the time before the cap hit, he was making something like, I think it was 7 or 8 million, or I can't remember exactly for sure the amount, but he was making it. Then the salary cap hit, and it actually lowered the Leafs were spending above what they set the salary cap at prior to the salary cap. So, a player like Sundin, who was the captain, had to take a hit in his salary. I think he went down about $2 million from his like 8.5 down to 6.5 or something along that line. But there's other players in the league that happened to as well when the salary cap came in the NHL. It hasn't always been around. Um, player player contract, rookies and veterans alike enter into agreements known as uniform player contract. Three main, what is an entry level contract I have here? We'll talk about in a second. Three main terms in uniform player contract that are negotiable are base salaries, bonuses, and incentives. So very cool that we'll get into that in a second. If you're interested in player salaries and how much they make, very important concept because they each affect the team's salary cap in different ways. So what I have here is what is an entry level contract. Players under 25 years of age must sign a two-way entry level contract for their first NHL contract. These contracts follow the NHL minimum salary guidelines, but they also have a minimum salary of 925,000. I think it may have changed for players between the ages of 18 and 21. Entry level contracts must be for 3 years. So that's how that works, the entry level contract. base salary. So we're going to talk about the base salary, bonus, incentives. So the base salary is with the player, and I'm going to just share this one site with you, which is a cool site for player contracts. If you haven't ever looked at it, check the chat out. Oops, where's my chat? It's called capfriendly.com. And capfriendly, I'm just going to share this with you because if you like player contracts and you're really kind of interested in what teams and players right here, what people make. Oh, I don't think that's showing. Hold on. No, that's not it. Wait a second. Windows. Where are you? Yeah, this is it. There we go. Okay, it's working now. So you can browse. This is cat friendly. So down here, I think this is for NHL. Hide all filters, reset filters, browse. So free agent, season, choo. Okay. So you want to see, inactive, active players. You want to see players of a certain age, so current team, what's everyone wants to see. Let's see the Toronto Maple Leafs, and then you just hit down here, update results. So this is Toronto Maple Leafs. You can see the contract right here at these are ones that are coming up for um, expiry this year. Okay, so we have Giordano, who they just picked up, sort of a rented player, you could say. Campbell, Mikhailov, the Bushkin case, and well, all of these ones, and this is how much they're currently making. All right, so you can see Giordano is making a fair bit of cash, but they only picked up a certain amount of that money. He's 38. See their age is down here. Spezza the base salary must be 725. It's looking like, I don't know if it's an entry level salary or not. I think that's just the salary after they've let's see what the next year is. 24. Okay, not next year. What about the year after? Oh, this is the year. Yeah, this is when Matthews comes into the picture of becoming a free agent at the end of this year. That's the year of 24-25. You can see that Toronto 26 left-handed. I think this is currently, they show it current. Stats displayed are season only. One game played requires when sorting the stats. Okay. UFA, unrestricted free agent. RFA, restricted free agent. NMC, no movement clause. Uh, I think there's no transfer clause. I can't remember what M and does anyone know what that one is? This acronym here?
It's like a modified no trade clause.
Okay.
So a
That's
certain
what.
number of teams you're allowed to go to.
Okay, got it. Thank you. That's what I thought of, something like that. No trade or no trade clause. I know this was no movement clause. All right, so you see usually the higher paid players do have some sort of clause about them moving to different teams. So go back to this year, current year of 21-22, and I don't know, pick your other favorite teams. You go to let's see what Montreal's looking like these days. Whoop, what happened there? They actually have no players? That would be interesting. Okay. Back to this year. All right. There we go. Okay. Then they have other ones. Group 6 is a whole other area. Probably I'd have to check that out, but they have a very low salary cap right there. Okay, anyways, check out catfriendly.com. Lots of you can play in there for a little bit of time. They do have them for different sports as well. That is the NHL, which is always interesting to look at if you're a sports fanatic like myself. Okay, where were we here? All right. Um, Base salary. Base salary is the player earns during playing the season. For example, Aaron Rodgers will make 11.5 in 2016. Base salary counts against the salary cap in the year the salary is earned. Therefore, next year the Packers have to account for 11.5 when it configures into the amount of cap available for other players. So bonuses, there are two main bonuses: signing bonuses and roster bonuses. Signing bonuses is for the amount of money paid to the player upon signing their contract. So as soon as you've signed the contract, boom, you get a certain amount of money. The salary cap hit from the signing bonus is spread across the length of the contract. For example, Rodgers signed a 4-year, $134 million contract extension with $57.5 million signing bonus. Crazy. Can't even imagine that amount of money. Okay. In 2018, Rodgers was paid 33.25 in 2018. The Packers apply the prorated 11.5 each year to the salary cap as part of the cap counting. So you can figure out that that's a big hit for Mr. Rodgers. The roster bonus amount paid to the player for being on the roster in the first league day of the year. Rodgers made 7.8 on the first day of the NFL. That's okay. 7.8 in the first day. All right. Incentives broken down into two categories: likely to be earned (LTBE) and unlikely to be earned (UTBE). Okay. Incentive is likely to be earned as hypothetical. Rodgers threw for 4,000 yards in 2018, and his contract had an incentive that would pay him 100,000 if he threw for 3,500 yards in 2019. That would be considered likely to be earned. Incentive that is unlikely when the player did not achieve the statistics as the previous year. For example, Rodgers threw for 4,000 in 2018. His contract had incentive that would pay him for 4,200 yards. That would be unlikely to be achieved. Okay. Likely to achieve incentives are accounted against the salary cap for the year in which they should be achieved. All right. For MLB, if the contract contains performance bonuses, regardless of whether or not any portion of the bonus is earned, the club has an option of either adding the entire bonus, both earned and unearned portions, in the base salary cap, or excluding it from the base salary cap, but repeating the bonus on the same terms. And what else do we have up here? Another example with Rodgers. It continues to go on with Rodgers with the amount of money he makes and how it's divided up with base salary and signing bonuses and roster bonuses and workout bonuses, and how many bonuses can one person get, right? 2016, Fitzpatrick have not been able to come to terms on an agreement. It's willing to sign a 1-year, $12 million contract with the Jets. Are not. Whoops, what did I just do there? There we go. Jets are not. The Jets want to give a 3-year, $24 million contract. So maybe Fitzpatrick says, I'm going to play great this year. Give me 12 million, and then I'll put myself out in the market for a trade at the end of the season. But the Jets want to hold on to him, so they have to come to an agreement on what that contract is. In 2011, the NFL entered into its current collective bargaining agreement. In 2011, the CBA, collective bargaining agreement, reduced the terms in the contract that are actually negotiable between the rookie and the team. Total rookie compensation pool. Under the system, teams have capped the limit to the amount it can spend on rookie salaries. Each team is allocated an amount it can spend based on the number of draft picks. Rookie salaries are determined based on whether a player was selected in the draft. There is some negotiation, but with more narrow range of compensation. So the player personnel department. Player management can be divided into two large subcategories: pro personnel and college scouting talent. Now we do have there's another thing here for football. You're going, well, where does, in hockey we know that in the NHL they go to the OHL. Ontario Hockey League is a big spot for hockey um, scouting. In football, they use one. It's called the Pop Warner, and there's a bunch of history behind that, which we won't get into. But Pop Warner, this is, um, where the sort of the best young football players will play, and you can check out the different information here on this feed. I will drop that into the chat for you. Sorry, I was going to do that. Oops. There we go. Whoop, what did I just do there? Pop Warner. Okay. Now, how about for baseball? Where do you think where do they find most of their rookies and players? Does anyone have an idea where that happens for baseball? Well, a lot of baseball does come out of the University and College League in the States. So that's one thing for baseball. Basketball, as well, out of the university and college system. We're just watching March Madness, and I'm not a big basketball person, but as March Madness, there's been a few upsets, right? We have, is it St. Louis? What team is doing really well in this March Madness? St. Peter's, is that it? Maybe they're it now. I don't know. I haven't watched too much of it. Sorry, can't say. But March Madness, you see all the university basketball talent is there. So Ontario has the Ontario Hockey League for the NHL, which is where the hockey players are mostly found. You also get the European hockey leagues, and you also get the college university system in the States, which has some coming out of. So the importance of scouting. Let me just see what else I got there. Okay. Think of prospects like products. Do you purchase a car without doing research on the miles per gallon, dependability, safety? Of course not, or maybe you do. Hopefully you don't do the same with, or you do the same with players and scouting department. They have a whole scouting department. They may have a North American scouting department. They may have a European scouting department. To check out players all over the world. Then there's the NFL draft. Let's talk about NHL because I can tell you a bit more about that. And the let me just find my information. So this year, there's different ways of becoming a player in the NHL. So we have, first of all, you could trade to a team, right? So the NHL, NBA you have trade deadlines. The NBA was a bit earlier this year than the NHL. NHL was March 21st. So that's when the last day player movement can take place. So what you'll see is teams that have a good opportunity to win in the playoffs or that want to do or will be in the playoffs and want to make some sort of mark will trade for better players. So actually, when you look at the Eastern Conference in the NHL, there's 8 teams that are all doing pretty good. When you look at the Western, not so much. There's a bunch of teams that could still make the playoffs, but what I'm getting at is March 21st. So if you're not doing well, if you're one of the bottom dwellers, you may say, you know what, it's time to dump some salaries and trade your big nut names over and do a rebuild or that sort of thing. Then you have your in the NHL, you have your entry draft in the NHL is July 7th. So that's when all the new players at a certain age become eligible to be drafted. Never played in the NHL, but may have played competitive hockey in the OHL. And then this year, free agency, I believe, opens on July 13th. I think it's a bit different this year for some reason. I think the dates are somewhat shifted because of COVID. I think it's usually July 1st, but I think it's July um, 13th this year. So that's when unrestricted free agents can enter into the free agent market. All right, so there's all these different dates throughout the year. Okay, where are we? Back here. So we have the free agents, it's the NFL draft. So the draft takes place. That's when players become eligible to be drafted. And then there's the free agency that takes place. Is the unrestricted free agents have the freedom to sign with any team without a player's former team having the opportunity to match the offer. And then restricted is that a team's that their current team can always match the offer from another team. They have the option to do that. Then you have the franchise and transition tag. So what would you think that a franchise tag means? If a player has a franchise tag, what would that mean? Can anyone tell me? Give me an example. No one has any idea? Franchise tag? Well, it's usually your highest paid player. So in Toronto, the Leafs, you probably look at Matthews as being their franchise player. If you look at Tampa Bay, Stamkos could be their franchise player. No, so that's sort of the way it works. So uh, here we have an example. The transition tag is similar, but pays the player at least the average of the top 10 paid players at his position. Okay, that's how they sort of figure it out there. 2016, the Panthers franchise tag to Josh Norman, long-term contract negotiations. Sometimes it might be, when they put the maximum contract out for a player, like a 6-year or 7-year contract, or something like that. Um, and wins to revenue. So, excuse me. So, the franchise valuation key in professional sports leagues is to solidify the season ticket base. The best way to accomplish that is to build a credible long-term winning strategy towards winning. And of course, all the teams usually you can say they want to win. You can look at teams and go, they don't have a chance of winning. The Packers and Steelers do not have significant large markets or big fancy stadiums at this time. I think the Green Bay has maybe I thought they just did a new stadium, but I could be wrong. Hold back a consistent track record of success as 5-time Super Bowl champs and 6-time Super Bowl champs, respectively, which inspired long-term brand loyalty across the entire states. Okay, ultimately, a team should avoid tying revenue growth to wins and losses because of its regular season unpredictability. Key injury or bad bounce is the difference between being in the playoffs and being the worst team in the league. There are too many factors to account for in order to replicate continued success. Of course, sustained success in the field will lead to revenue growth, but only 12 teams. Has that changed? How many make the NFL playoffs now? I thought it was more than 12. Well, here they use the example 12 teams make the NFL playoffs, only one team wins the Super Bowl every year. 16 teams make the NHL playoffs, only one team win the Stanley Cup every year. One team will win the Stanley Cup. So, there's only one winner each year. So when you have a a league of 32 teams. It's you know, the chances to win, just ask any Toronto Maple Leaf fan, are very slim. So they look at the profits and revenues. The Leafs have just such a, why win? They're making all the money they can make other than playoff revenue with games happening, but their brand, their ticket sales, their sponsorship are probably the highest in the league, or one of the highest in the league. So what's the point of winning? They don't need to win, right? Take the Buffalo Bills, for example, small market team with the minimal success. 2019, the Bills had 79 million available salary cap space to spend in the offseason. They also had the ninth overall pick and 10 draft selections altogether. Team just acquired, as they believe, and they've been doing it the last few years, right? The Bills have actually had an uptick um, on their success. They've made the playoffs the last few years, which is good to see because they had a bit of a drought there for quite a long time, back to their 4 in a row Super Bowl appearances, which I lived through that, and that is just crazy what happened to the Buffalo Bills. 4 Super Bowl appearances in a row and not being able to win one of them. Heartbreak for that city of Buffalo. And let's see what we have here. Our key terms: collective bargaining, negotiations of wages and other conditions of employment by a league and its players, or by a college and its faculty, right? Collective bargaining agreement, it's a union. Free agency, when a player is not re-signed by a team at the end of their contract and the unsigned player becomes able to seek out employment from any other team. All right, that's Kawhi Leonard. I'm a free agent. I don't care if I won an NBA championship. I'm going to go somewhere else. All right, salary cap system that limits spending on a player's salary for the sake of parity and competition across the league. And you have your salary cap analysts that take place to make sure your team doesn't spend over, right? Scouting, the process of identifying and evaluating player talent. Uniform player contract, a common contract shared among players that allows the differences in salary, base salary, bonuses, and incentives. Alrighty, let me find, here we are, just opening up the quiz. I was busy talking in player management. Make available, made available. Okay, the quiz for player management is open. Again, your questions are ready to go. It is 8:49. I will give you until 9:05 for the quiz. Okay, so it gives you just over 15 minutes. And at 9:05, we'll come back and then we'll have the presentation, okay? So quiz until 9:05. Presentation. All right, so the quiz is open. Please get in there, complete the quiz, and I will be back at 9:05. All right, we'll see you in 15 minutes.